The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys Storyline with Nick Eatman.
What is up? Welcome to Cowboys Storyline. I am Nick Eatman. It is Thursday, February 22nd, 2022. Feels like that we should have Emmett Smith on the show today, but we don't. We do not, and I don't want to throw that out there. But still, we've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. I want to hear from you guys as always. 888-855-2297. You can text us at 817-290-3298. Feels like it's been a while since I've been on the air because it has been. It's been a week. Sorry for missing the show on Tuesday. I do want to give a shout out to my dad, Tim Eatman. He listens to every show. He'll be listening today. He's had a kind of a tough week, so I definitely want to know that I'm thinking about him always. He's really the creator of this show, the originator, the first one to really kind of throw the idea at me, and he's one of my biggest, if not the biggest, supporter for the show and for me. So I want to give a shout out to him. But yeah, let's get it started. Let's get going here. We'll be here for an hour or so. We'll see how the calls go, but we'll start it off like we always tend to do, probably more than ever. We started off with Joe in Stanford, Texas. Joe, what's up?
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Hope your dad's doing better or well, and we're thinking of it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. So there's a few things we could go with for this subject. I've been trying to stay away from it, but he just keeps making me talk about it, and it's going to be about Micah. So this week, again, he's been on interviews or something. This time, talking about his interaction with Jerry Jones. He calls him Jay because they're cool like that. I got to say,
I call you Jay. I mean, like, because we're cool like that, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. But I think there might be a little difference in the relationship there. I know he's a young guy, and I know I don't, as an old guy, get all of this. I just don't understand why somebody hasn't pulled him aside and talked to him about all this. There's so many things that are revealed about Micah when it comes on the social media stuff and all the interviews he does. I got to say, just as a bystander, somebody who pays attention, though, he comes off as self-centered, egotistical, and a bad teammate. He criticizes the talent on the team all the time. And, I just wish, I know I've said this before, I wish he would just shut up, get off of social media. Every time he does a stupid post on X, I'm saying, hey, Micah, why don't you just get off of this? Because he just comes off as so childish. And man, I got to say, I'm really disappointed, and I worry about, just his quality as a human. And I hate to say that, but, it's just the way I see it.
Yeah. All right, Joe. Appreciate that. I got to be careful on this topic because I'll say this: it's not the first time I've heard any of this from fans, from people inside the building. Other podcasts have talked about this kind of stuff. I see those things that you see, and he had character concerns going into the draft. I mean, they went back and looked at things that were happening at Penn State, and it was a lot of the stuff was, just immaturity. And now, you're looking at it, and it's a tough one because, yeah, you see the things that he's putting out on Twitter or any of the social media stuff. You also see the plays that he makes. That's what makes it tough because he is a great player. He's probably the best football player you have on the team. And if you say, well, that shouldn't matter, it does. It does. This isn't junior high or high school. It matters. These guys, they get treated differently. Michael Irvin had a very, very, very long leash because of things that, that he just how good a player he was and how much he meant to the team. So I get all that stuff, and I hear it and see it, and you scratch your head and you shake your head sometimes and go, I don't know what you're getting at. But he talks so much that there are some things he's saying. Now, I mean, I saw something where he's defending Dak, and he's saying other than Mahomes, I mean, who's been better than Dak, and and he said some things, stick with me to the fan base, talking, to the fans about. I'm going to be here and I don't want to go anywhere else. I mean, so he just says so many things that to me, it's just kind of like, that's it. I just kind of shake my head. I mean, it just is what it is. Just rush the passer on 3rd and 7. Just go make the play, and at this point, get better, keep getting better as a player, figure out a way to get better. The challenge for Micah Parsons at this point should be, he should have different goals. Yeah, he wants to win certain awards and all that. And I mean, he wanted to win MVP of that basketball game. He made that very clear. I don't think he ever came out of the game. I think he took every shot and he got MVP. But I think the goal for him should be make plays in December and January. Don't have a trail off in your production. Make plays then throughout the year, and whatever that takes to get his body right to do that, that should be a goal for him. But, yeah, I mean, the social media stuff's getting to the point where – and one thing you said, Joe, I wish somebody would pull him aside. How do you know they haven't done that, and how do you know that would work or not work? Because from what I've kind of heard is people that have pulled him aside to talk about anything, it doesn't always go well. So, but then again – that's all perspective of who's doing it. I mean, he may not listen to a lot of people, and depends on who it is. So, all right, let's go to Vince in North Carolina. Vince.
Hey, what's going on, Nick?
How are you doing? First time call?
I'm doing fine, man. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah. Is this your first call?
Yep, this is the first time calling in.
Hit it, Chris. There we go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Cool. Well, I wanted to talk about I wanted to get your thoughts on the offensive line and our draft strategy coming up. I was thinking about it the other day. I've seen a lot lately. I've seen a lot of discourse just around Cowboys Nation, just talking about some people seem to be on this train of wanting to move on from Tyron Smith and take a tackle earlier on, or I assume it's take a tackle in the draft. That's what I see most of the time. I've seen some people spitball and throw out, sign another tackle. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. My perspective on the whole matter is I feel like center is actually a little bit of a bigger need. I'd like to shore up the middle, especially after you have Tyron coming off of one of his healthiest seasons in the last couple of years and a second-team All-Pro season at that. Not for anything while he was out there. And don't get me wrong, like, his health makes me nervous too, just like it makes the rest of us nervous. You don't love the idea that he could go down at any time, especially in like an important time in the season. But I think they seem to have figured out a strategy with just not really practicing him all that often during the season. He seemed to be healthier. He was certainly playing like he was healthier. And I don't know. It's not that I have anything against Tyler Biadasz per se. I don't think he's a bad center by any means. I think he's a starting caliber guy in the league. But he just doesn't have that strength that I think I'd like. I think we're missing that strength that we had with Frederick. And I know I sound just as nostalgic as everybody else talking about Travis Frederick, but I think there's something to it. I think we need a guy who's athletic but strong in the middle too. And I think I'd rather look, whether it's in free agency or the draft. I would prefer the draft just for cost, especially with these contracts coming up. But I think I'd rather shore up the middle of that offensive line and give Tyron another go.
All right. Good call. I agree with a lot of things you're saying. Thank you for the call, Vince. Appreciate that. I love hearing the first-time callers. He's going to be sandwiched right in between two of the ones that have called the most. So it's always great. It's always great to have that balance. Appreciate the call. I like a lot of things you said. I agree with that, too. I'm always about shoring up the center position. And I'm also at the point where – I understand the Tyron Smith, makes everyone nervous type thing, but the way the contract was written last year, it was basically if he plays, he gets paid. And until it's different with Tyron Smith, because it hasn't been changed in the last even 7-8 years, when he plays, he's really good. That has not changed. It hasn't changed. When he plays, he's really good. Does he give up a sack or two? Yeah, because there was a period where he never did, and he was an all-pro and looked like he was going to be a Hall of Famer, and I think he will be and all that. But even this last year, he played 13 games, I believe, maybe 14. I think he only missed 3, and he was really good. Second team All-Pro, and I don't think this is just because of his name. I really don't. I mean, he's kind of past that. He's missed it a few times. He played really well, and so I'm okay doing that again if that's what he wants to do. If he wants to continue to play and play, and that kind of holds the carrot out there, and that's something to play for. And here's $1 million. That's the way it was written last year. Maybe something like that again, and because it's worth it when he plays. It'd be one thing if he's out there, but he hasn't shown that yet. He really hasn't shown the drop off. He's shown a drop off in consistency of playing, but not consistency of his play. And so I'm fine with that. And I think the Tyler Smith situation is good because he could maybe play both spots, and then you figure out what you're going to get in tackle or guard. But I'm with you on center. I think they're going to upgrade on center, or at least they're going to go a different route. We'll see if it's an upgrade. They'll attempt it for that. But it's not nostalgic to talk about Travis Frederick, because until you have a player at that level, you're always going to talk about that. We talked about safeties for 25 years until they get another Darren Woodson. In my opinion, they never have. You wanted to get the next Aikman until you finally saw a quarterback like maybe Romo was playing. Not comparing him to Aikman, but I'm saying he was like a top tier quarterback. So until they get that at center, you're always going to be looking to see if you can get that type of player. All right, let's go. Brian in Kansas City.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Listen, you can't take a day off unless you give me a heads up.
I apologize. I'm
I
sorry.
hope you're doing okay, brother.
Doing fine. Thank you for asking.
Excellent, man. Hey, and I meant to say something like two calls ago, and I forgot. You being the biggest Rocky fan in all of the DallasCowboys.com, you had to be saddened when you saw Carl Weathers pass. Huh?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. I like years ago. I wish they did a story on Creed. Like when I was younger, I wish there was one just on him. And then 20 years later or so, they actually did. And it's been really great too. But yeah, that was definitely sad. I thought it was weird. ESPN did a post that said Rocky / Happy Gilmore star Carl Weathers dies. I was like, seems like I get it.
Happy. Yeah, but not in the same role, not in the same prominence. Absolutely.
We're gonna throw out Action Jackson or some other movies he's been in. I'm sorry, he's Apollo Creed.
I would have thought Predator, because he played a fairly decent sized role in that one.
Right, but he was the man. Right, Apollo Creed. Yeah. He's one of those guys where he starts off as the bad guy, whatever, and then he turns into a big storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. And then being the coach in the third one,
Right.
That was, I thought, my dad got to meet him once. I wasn't around. My dad was in business somewhere. Got to meet him once, and he had a group of things. It wasn't like he had lunch with him privately in a very big group setting. But he said Carl Weathers made the chef come out and tell him every ingredient that was going into his food.
Wow.
I was like,
okay.
Wow, that's something. I guess if you're Carl Weathers, you can do that.
So. I guess. But no. All right. What's up, man?
I wanted to talk about the changes, just get your opinion, of the defensive people that have come on board. And seeing as Greg Ellis is back in the fold, if you got one, I'd love to hear a Greg Ellis story, man. And I'll hang up and listen.
All right. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Yep. As you say that about changes, all I could think of is, you can't change who you really are. I mean, that's a line that Apollo Creed says in Rocky IV. So that you started talking about changes. That's what made me think that. A lot of changes on defense, no doubt about it. Obviously Zimmer is the defensive coordinator, and I guess it's Paul Gunther. Sorry, I haven't figured out all my new guys yet. He'll be the running game coordinator. Jeff Zagonia, I think, is the defensive line coach. we don't have enough time in the show to talk about every place he's been. I think he played 17 years in the league as a player, a lot of different stops. And then as a coach, he's been around 8 or 9 years in some different spots too. So very well traveled for sure. And then Greg Ellis, he'll be the assistant D-line coach. And, he's had a couple of stops as a head coach in very small colleges in Texas. NAIA level, he's been the head coach on a couple of different spots there. So I think he'll replace like that Sharif Floyd type of role. Greg Ellis, I'll say this about Greg Ellis. I think, he's one of those few players that he doesn't get compared to his position. And that's what's sad. He's a defensive end, played a little bit of linebacker, but he was a defensive end. And for his entire career, he got compared to a Hall of Fame receiver, Randy Moss. And he's never going to win that. No one's going to win that. And so as great as Greg Ellis was, and he was he was great for a few years, very, very good player. But he was never Randy Moss. And who was? Other than maybe Jerry Rice. But I mean, that's how, and that's the thing. They didn't draft Randy Moss. They drafted Greg Ellis, and then, the rest is history. And so that's all, I have some stories. I thought, it was one of those things where he didn't trust moving to outside linebacker, with, in that kind of defense there with Parcells in a 3-4, and he ends up tearing his Achilles, and he comes back and wins comeback player of the year. So he was a really good player, probably underrated. Because, like I said, he's not doing Randy Moss type things because he's just not going. That's not going to happen. But I thought he was a really good player, and I think he'll be a good. He's done a lot of things outside of football too. He's been in the movies business. He's directed several movies. I think at least 5 at this point. So he's done some good things there. But football's still in his blood, and obviously Zimmer. He was there with Zimmer, so I think he'll be really good. I think he'll know how to relate to the players, and I think that'll be a good one. All right, I got a text line question here. This is Dan in Philly. He says, is it time to start worrying about Micah and his motor mouth? It's getting there for me. And his past Cowboy, ironically, is Terrell Owens. I don't know if you meant to do that, but if you did, I see what you did there. So, anyways, I think good stuff there good question about Micah. We've addressed it earlier. Yeah, you can worry if you want. I think it'll start to be a problem if it's not already. It'll start to be a problem if he continues to throw these shots at the players and at his teammates. You want to talk about other guys, it's fine. I just wish he would kind of think about the whole thing a little bit more. Don't live in the moment so much. Don't talk about Brock Purdy not playing well when he was the quarterback on the team that beat you 42-10. That's the kind of stuff that I'm like, don't do that. Because people, everything has receipts, right? Like everybody has that kind of stuff. Everyone knows different things. So if you said something back then, I just wish he would think about that kind of stuff a little bit more, and then also, when you're talking about other players, that's one thing, because but then you guys have to, do it on the field. But then when it starts getting into your own teammates, that's where I think it could be problematic. And so that's where, if that continues to happen, then I think it will be an issue. But hopefully it won't ever get that bad. All right, let's go to, and his past Cowboy, T.O. T.O.'s T.O. There's stories about him all over the place. And in his 3 or 4 years here, I'll have a T.O. story. I have a T.O. story. We in Carolina, it all seems like all weird things kind of happen in Carolina, even this year. But Carolina, one year with us at the hotel we were staying at, had a basketball court, an upstairs indoor court. And I went up there. We were going to go play. I went up there with another guy, and there was only one other guy shooting, and it was T.O. Night game against Carolina. This is probably 1 or 2 o'clock. He's shooting. We're shooting the ball, not playing any game or anything like that. I'm trying to stay away from him. Like, oh, my God, he's going to turn his ankle on, or something. But he was cool, talked a little bit. She shot the ball. No big deal. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then later that night, he did get hurt. It was 2007. It was the year he got hurt with his I guess he broke his leg or I forgot the injury, but obviously we all know he got hurt in the 2007 playoffs and he really wasn't himself. But it was in that Carolina game where he got hurt. So hopefully it had nothing to do with shooting baskets or anything before that. And if so, I wasn't there. I was nowhere near him. But I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, I shot baskets with T.O. Pretty good shooter too. He's played in that game that Micah's played in, the celebrity NBA celebrity game. I think he's played in there before. But all those guys are great athletes. They're natural. All right, let's go to Rob in Vegas.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You're not allowed to talk about Micah.
No, I was
Nope.
going to say just real quick. All right, you're right.
No.
But I don't. I'll say one thing. He's not the best player on the team anymore. It's CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
CeeDee Lamb to me
Okay.
is the best player. He's
you.
ascended. Micah hasn't gotten better. He's stayed the same, and we talked about it. He's fallen off in December. But let's face it, Jerry. He's always allowed a lot of leeway for superstars. And that's just the way it is. And, I don't worry now. I worry if they drop $30 million a year on him. Then I worry.
Fair.
So hopefully he's got a year. This year you'll see with a new coach who's not his uncle. Now we'll see, if they're going to go that route. But I wish, listen, as a fan, I want him to be great. But I want to talk about Dak. I keep seeing he's going to reset the market, $60 million a year, and I can't see it. I can't see Jerry doing that. I look at it, and there's only been 2 quarterbacks, Peyton Manning and Brett Favre, that won their first Super Bowl after 30, and Dak is in that class. And I just can't see him dropping $60 million a year. I'm thinking 52, 53 in Lamar Jackson range. And I think if he really pushes the $60 million a year thing, I think he plays it out. And I'd be okay with it. He's tied to Mike McCarthy. You weren't willing to give Mike McCarthy an extension, then I don't give Dak one.
Yeah.
Because if Mike McCarthy goes after this year, you're probably going to wish Dak was gone too, because let's face it, they're tied there. If Dak doesn't do good in the playoffs or whatever. So I just wouldn't do it. I mean, if you could get him, it sounds crazy at a bargain at $53 million a year.
Yeah.
But 60, I just couldn't do it. I like Dak. I think he's
I know. Yeah.
a very good quarterback. But that's greatness. And we talked about it. Mahomes is the only guy that could say, "Give me 70," and you'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But the others, it's a bad investment. It's a bad investment on any of these quarterbacks at that price, because you just can't build enough around them,
right?
And especially Dak. So it's going to be very interesting. What do they got till March?
Yeah.
Is it 13th or the 18th or something like that?
Yeah, it's coming up here soon. I mean, a lot of these questions that we have will be answered before too long here. And you're right.
What is your feelings if you were Jerry, and what would you do? I know it's kind of like put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, but all right, I'll answer that. I appreciate it. And Rob, appreciate the call as always. Thank you. If I was Jerry, I'd go to the yacht. I just want to check it out. I think that'd be kind of cool. No. If I was Jerry, what I would do is I extend him to the point where it lowers his salary. I think it's like 20-something million quickly. I think you add a year to it or something. Not a full-fledged extension, but I do. if he agrees to it, where we can save some. He's still going to get paid a lot, but we can save some money. I think there's a way to get almost $20 million, and then I would try to do my best to build some things around it. I would go for it. That's what I would do. I'd go for it. I'd go for this whole thing. I'd keep Dak, but I'd also get myself some opportunities to go make some moves. I'd make a trade or two here. They've already done some of that. I'd maybe dip into some of next year's picks again. I would go for some as much as you can do. His team is good. It needs some help. I'd get one of those running backs that maybe will get some people excited. I would try for it. I would not sit on my hands on free agency. I would give myself an opportunity by signing some of these guys like Micah, and definitely CD and Dak, getting them done because I think they deserve it. Now Dak, I would be, like you said, a little tricky with that, but for the most part, I'm giving myself some opportunity to go do some things in free agency, and I would go for it. I would, and that means maybe trading back in the draft. Maybe you're not as aggressive in the draft because you're picking at the end of the first round anyways. Trading back, I'm fine. Adding some picks, I'm fine with that. But maybe trying to get some help on this team. Maybe you trade some picks, current picks for some players. Again, we've seen it already. They don't have a lot, but try to figure out a way to do it. But whatever it is, I'm a lot more aggressive this year than I have been in the past. That's what I would do. All right, let's go, Mike. He's in Birmingham, England. What's up?
Hello, Nick.
Hello. How are you?
Hi. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, best wishes to your dad.
Thank you.
Hope all goes well there.
Thank you.
I've been thinking of calling for a while, and I've been inspired to call by Katya from Russia. I thought if she can do it, then so can I.
Yeah, you can.
And also, when you talked about your spreadsheet, I'm a bit of a spreadsheet geek myself, so I thought, right, I've got to get my name on Nick's spreadsheet. But here I am.
It's in a different column. Out of the country calls, go to another column. I sort it. I don't know Excel that well, but I know how to sort different things alphabetically, by the state, by the call. So. I don't even know if we've had one from England. I don't know if we've had one from England. This is great. So
there you go. You have now.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Here we go.
Yeah.
And it sounds sounds like you're far away. That's what it does. It does sound that way. So.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's all good. What do you got?
Okay. So well, I know that there's been quite a lot of doom, understandably, around the unexpected, or maybe expected by many people, the playoff exit. I wanted to lift the gloom a little bit because my story is that this has been my first season properly on board. I'm 48 years old. It's taken me this long, and I always had sort of a passing interest in NFL, and as far as it's been anyone, it's been the Cowboys. But my problem was, I'm a big soccer fan, as you guys would call it, and I've never really understood until recently. I've got a colleague who is a 49ers fan, and he knows his NFL in and out, and gradually going to him with questions, started to understand more. And I tell you, this year has been absolutely fantastic, despite how it ended. And I am properly on board, Cowboy for life now. And so it's not all been doom and gloom. We've got one more to the Cowboys family. But I've got a couple of opinions, and I say this with due respect to the people that have been riding this train a lot longer than I have. And if my opinion isn't the same as yours, then that's fine. I respect that, and I respect that you've been putting up with the post-season debacles for a lot longer than I have. But opinion on Dak. I've heard a lot of people talking about Dak all season, but particularly since the Packers game. And I've heard people saying, we're stuck with Dak because of the cap hit. And I'm not stuck with Dak. I want Dak. There is, with my head ruling my heart, there is one guy that I would swap Dak for, and that's Mahomes, and he's way out on his own. And then Dak is in that next group. There's not much to pick between them, and he's my guy, and I'm delighted that we've got Dak. Obviously I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but so be it. So I'm not stuck with him. I'm riding with him, and he's my QB. And if that puts me out on my own or in a minority, then so be it. And the other thing I've seen with Cowboy Nation is, understandably, after 29 years, everything is so contingent on kind of what happens in postseason. Right. And I wonder if people just forget to enjoy the ride sometimes, because we know we can do the regular season. We know 12 3 years in a row, and we know we can do that. We've got to enjoy the journey, even, regardless of what happens at the end of it. And thinking about some of the great moments that we've had, CD's touchdown against Detroit, the old Deron Bland's pick sixes, and Gilmore's interception against the Chargers to win the game. There have been some fantastic moments that have had me leaping up off my sofa at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is. Supporting over here isn't good for work the next day when you've got a Sunday or a Monday night game, I can tell you. But no, it's just been brilliant, and I've loved every minute. Back in 9 years, if we still haven't won anything, and I'll be one of those bemoaning how everything is. But I would just urge people to remember to enjoy it. Otherwise, what is the point? Right. I do have one question for you, Nick, and then I'll shut up and let you answer. I've recently finished reading Collision Low Crossers. I don't know if you've read it. New York Jets 2011 behind the scenes kind of book. And the Jets OC that year was Brian Schottenheimer. And so I've read quite a few things about him, and it struck me that he's someone that we don't hear very much about. If our defense has a poor game, then everyone's been on DQ's back about it. If our offense has a poor game, everyone's after McCarthy. Yeah. And I just wondered, how is Brian Schottenheimer kind of seen? How does that role kind of work when he's not doing the play calling? And I'm not wishing to sort of question him or bring on a kind of hate campaign against him, but are there questions to answer in terms of his role? Yeah. In the book, Santonio Holmes, who didn't come across all that well himself in that book, but he said that Brian Schottenheimer sapped the fun out of the game for the offense. And so I just wondered, what your take is on Brian's role. And
okay,
and I'll leave you to it. And thank you very much for having me on.
All right. Thank you for the call, Mike. Appreciate that. Calling from England. It's a pretty lengthy call. I'll give you credit for that. That's fine. You was the first call, so you can definitely do that. I am obviously trying to get these calls going quicker so we can get more people on the line. But I had a lot to say. Had never called before. And I say it all the time, you don't choose to be a Cowboy fan, it chooses you. Well, there are exceptions. It sounds like Mike has chosen to be a Cowboy fan from England, and I think, and I appreciate that. Dax's Guides, what he said, asking about Schottenheimer, like you said, you've said it right. I mean, he doesn't call the plays, so therefore you're not going to get, the blame or the credit for anything. Now, I think. One thing that he's done, I think he should get some credit in the fact that, their offense did look different in some of the structure of the plays. Those are things that you help implement as the week goes on, and you install some of the different plays, and then McCarthy's the one that calls them and figuring out how to manage the game and the down and distance and all that. But there is some work done in the installation process, and he's very helpful and instrumental with that. And I know Dak has given him some praise with that. So not in front of the scenes a lot. Doesn't call the plays, but still, I think Brian Schottenheimer has helped, and he's been around a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of different systems, so he's certainly got a lot of experience. Sorry. Let's go to Chris in San Angelo.
Hey, Nick, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. First off, I have to point out that you were spot on your tweet with that basketball game against my guys with the 0.4 seconds.
I'm still upset. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm still upset, and I'll tell you why. Let me tell you the story real quick. Because I follow my team. This is my. Everyone thinks I'm a big Arkansas fan, and I am. Yeah. Arkansas is my team. My school is Midwestern State University. It's how I got this job. Okay, Midwestern State, and I follow them. And Saturday afternoon, I know they're playing Angelo State. They got to have this game. I pull up my phone. We're down big, but we're starting to come back. I'm doing other things, but I get my phone, and it says Midwestern State up 67-65 with 0.0 left. And I'm like, why does it say final? What's the problem here? And it says that way for a little bit, and then it refreshes to tie game 67. I go, there must have been a half a second or whatever.
Right.
But just so you guys are listening, I put this on Twitter, 0.4. My school makes a shot with 0.4, and they got 94 feet to go. And somehow in 0.4, they throw a long pass. This guy catches it, shoots it, score. Give him credit for the pass and the shot. But I've done it with my phone on the stopwatch. I go boom, boom, and it's 0.5. You can't do anything in 0.4. You cannot catch a 94-foot shot and go up and shoot it and make it in 0.4. I'm sorry, it's not. But they tied the game, and then they won in triple overtime. So I'm still salty about it.
No dice. 0.4, once the ball touches somebody, game over, let alone set and shoot. No way.
No way.
Impossible.
Well, I'm glad you say that. Were you there? You weren't there, were you?
No, I was not there. I'm planning on going to one of their games a little bit later on in the season. I have some tickets, but
go up to the tournament. Go up to the tournament in Frisco. There's a tournament up there. If you go up there, I'll be there because I work that tournament also. So if you go up there, I'll see you there. Okay, sorry, we're just here talking, and all these fans are listening.
No, that's okay. I was wanting to know if you wanted me to find out who was operating the clock.
Yes, I want to know who that person is.
Okay, I'll shoot that over to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what I was going to say. I had a favorite player.
Okay.
My favorite Cowboy of all time is Bob Hayes, and the reason is that way back in the day, probably I was in high school, and I went to a Rangers game with a couple of my friends, and I'm talking, 2 stadiums ago, Ranger game, and one of my buddies said, "There's Bob Hayes over there. He's on third seat," and I was like, "Really?" And so I went over there and stuck my hand out to him and said, "Mr. Hayes, I just wanted to shake your hand." And I said, "Thank you for, everything you did." And he said, "You're welcome." And I was in this moment of I'm not worthy type of thing. And so ever since then, I'm like, okay, he's my favorite player because he shook my hand. So there you go. But
nice.
Anyway, my question, I was wondering, like with the defense, it's been no mystery that, trouble stopping the run. And so I was going to ask you, do you think that's more of a personnel thing, or do you think it's more of a scheme thing?
Yes.
And with Zimmer coming in, do you think it might, with his scheme, might possibly be an easier fix than what we think it would be? And then that's all I had.
All right. Well, Chris, I think when you say is it a personnel thing or is it a scheme thing, I think those are. I don't think they're the same thing, but I think they're connected because I think your scheme you fit the personnel to the scheme that you play, and so I think that I don't think there was a point of emphasis on the run as much as it should be. Every coach in the world says we got to stop the run, but they don't always do the things necessary to get the team there and the personnel in place in order to do that. And they say they want to stop the run, but I know this firsthand. They look at linebackers in a way of, will he get beat by the tight end? Will Kelsey and Kittle eat him alive? So let's make sure we get these versatile, nice, good covering tight ends that they can, but then also on 3rd and 3, they don't match up well with the guard that's coming right at them too. So linebacker's a tough position, but I do think there needs to be a point of emphasis to get stronger, tougher, bigger linebackers up front that will help stop the run, and hopefully with Zimmer's scheme it'll do that. Plus also the alignment in the front four will also be different as well. But they've got to stop the run. I mean, that everyone knows that.
Right on, buddy.
All right.
Hey, man, I appreciate you
Thank
taking my call.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks for that.
bet.
Thanks for seeing it the right way there on that.
Come on.
this.
Hey, I'm from Angelo State, but
That's
okay. I saw what I saw.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's all right. I appreciate it.
You're right.
It's a heck of a play. Heck of a play. I just don't think it counted, but it did.
Exactly.
Anyways, all right, let's keep going here. Let's go to Brett in Virginia.
Hello, sir.
Hey.
It's very nice to speak to you today. How are you?
I'm good. First time call?
I am a first.
There you go.
I'm a first time caller, but I'm a 57-year-old Cowboy fan.
All right.
But I have to ask you a question. Topic, correct?
Say what's the first thing you said?
I could talk about any topic, right? It's not a specific topic we're talking about right now.
I mean, there's always rules. So I mean, I think you'll be fine. Go ahead. I mean, I don't want to say no. Talk about anything you want, and then that'll get us the show canceled. No.
Well, let me be specific about this.
Okay.
The other day, I saw on ESPN, and Chris Canning was on, and he was talking about True in Dallas in reference to, well, D-Law brought it up, that the reason why they lost the game to Green Bay was because they were tired. He was tired. They were tired. As a Cowboy fan for 57 years, 57 years old, and dealing with everything from Roger Staubach all the way up to what's going on right now, to hear something like that just absolutely infuriates me as a Cowboy fan. It infuriated him. I wanted to get your take on how you feel about playing with the Cowboys, maybe your whole work life. I don't know.
Yeah. You talking about what I feel about D-Law's comments?
Yes.
Okay. You have any other question, or that's it?
No, really, that's it. I'm still going to be a Cowboy fan. I'm very happy to be on your show.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be a Cowboy fan, but this year I thought everything was in place. We went into that game. Everybody was healthy. Like the gentleman before was talking about Tyron Smith. Everybody was there. We were all ready to go. And I get the excuse as a Cowboy fan to hear that we were tired.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. I appreciate the call. Thank you. I was surprised to hear that, of course. And I would like to say, you want to think maybe that was taken out of context, but I mean, it wasn't, because this isn't a quote that you read. I mean, we saw the video. You can see it. That was the question. And I'm going to say this, that I think D-Law meant something different. He had to have. He had to have meant, in his mind, that did not come out the way he wanted it to come out. There's just no way. He's not the type of player. He's not the type of player to say that. He's not one to throw out excuses like that, especially that one. You can't do that. And I'll say this. I'm not calling anyone else this, but there's some guys maybe other players can punk. Not him. Not Tank. He's not the type of guy to do that. Okay? So that is, you're asking for it when you say that. When you say we were just tired, you're asking for it. I'm not saying I know him personally, but I've covered him now for 10 seasons. That's not the type of person or player or persona that Tank Lawrence is to say that. I don't think there's any way that came out like he wanted it to. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, because I know the type of person and the player that he is. And he's not soft, okay, at all. So that I can't. I mean, it's really hard. It's hard to defend it, because I didn't understand that. I don't think you would do that. I don't think you would want to say that. But there's got to be more to it than him just standing on the table to say we lost because we were tired. I know that's what was said. I'm just gonna have to say there's more to it than that. And if that makes sense, I don't know if it does, because it was a head scratcher to hear that. Nobody wants that. I mean, nobody wants excuses. You know what I mean? I that's one thing. When a guy gets injured, The Arizona game, I mean, you lost 3 linemen. You lost 3 starting linemen who all were in the Pro Bowl, and you lost 3 of them, and you lost Trayvon Diggs 2 days before, and you lost to the Cardinals. And nobody wants to hear that as an excuse. And it's like, it's not an excuse. It's just there's a reason for it. And so there's a reason that they lost to the Packers. I just don't think it's that. And deep down, I don't know if D-Law does as well. I've heard some people say maybe what he meant was kind of the mental grind of, because you go back and look at what they went through. We knew that was going to be a gauntlet. 6 games. I mean, for 6 games, it was just boom, both Seattle, Philly, and then Buffalo, then Miami, then Detroit. Even Washington was kind of tough for a little bit, and then boom, here comes the playoffs. But there's no excuse for that. Still, like you've got to be gearing up to that point. And playoffs should give you some new life and energy and all that. So I don't know, but we'll see if D-Law addresses it again or whatever. I just like to think there's got to be more to it than that. I really do, because it just goes against everything we know about him to make that statement. So, all right, let's go. All right, here we go. Let's go to the next caller is Dr. Sunshine. He's in Fort Worth.
How you doing, Nick?
I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, baby. I tell you what, I'm getting a break today, getting to watch you. You're doing great.
Well, guys, this is my dad. This is my dad right here, Tim Eatman. Dad, what's up? I know you go by different names to different people, because he does a show that he performs called Dr. Sunshine, but I know him as Dad, so I'm gonna call you Dad.
Okay,
I've had my mom call, and now first time caller.
First time caller.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. I told Chris, make sure you get the soundbite in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've talked to you the last couple of days. I haven't talked to you today, so yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. I wanted to tell you, you know who my favorite player is, Dandy Don.
Okay. Yep.
Don Meredith, number 17. Favorite player right now is C.D. Lamb.
Okay.
And my wrestler was like Wahoo McDaniel or Haystack. Those guys that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
Gorgeous George.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, I wanted just to touch base with you and had a couple of questions, but I wanted, before we get off, I wanted you to, if you could tell some stories about some of the quarterbacks you knew that your dad taught you when you were 3.
Yeah.
And you told everybody who came near you that the Roger Staubach, but also you had to get in Jim Zorn. You knew them all.
Yeah. Yep, I did. I didn't know. I don't know if I knew the months of the year or anything like that, but I knew Steve Bartkowski was the quarterback of the Falcons. I don't know if I could say it that way. I don't know. I couldn't say my R's very well, but yeah. So, yeah. Well, Dad, we talk football all the time, and you'll send a text or 7 sometimes during the games. But what's your biggest thought on this team right now, and what do you think they got to do moving forward?
Well, I'm really excited to see if we can get some solid line play. It'll make a big difference. I did really want to say something about the defense, and I wanted to ask a question. What is the current situation with DeMarvion Overshown and Trayvon Diggs? Are they going to be able to be active in spring training in camp?
Yeah, I think they will be for sure. They both had ACL injuries. One of them late August and one of them late August or late September. But still, I think both of them, the way they rehab that injury now, I think they're going to be ready to go. I'll say in the off-season stuff, OTAs, minicamp, but they'll be limited. The goal for them would be to be pretty much full participants at training camp. And even though they play different positions than Terrence Steele obviously a lineman, but he got hurt in December before that. He was ready to go for the start of training camp. Different positions, asking these guys to run and cut, but I still think that they'll be able to do some stuff at training camp.
Are they excited about it, Overshown as I am?
I think so, especially any linebacker that you have that's like, well, we got him coming back. I mean, I don't think it takes much at this point for linebacker. I mean, if you can play linebacker, like, oh, let's bring him back. I mean, if somebody were to say Sean Lee was working out, I think they would be like, let's go. It's pretty.
All right, yeah.
And I almost brought it back way back. Like, I don't even know. Dat Win or somebody like that. So
well, and real quick, and you may not want to do this, but I would love for some time if you could kind of tell a story about training camp in Wichita Falls when you were playing the card game.
When I was playing the card game.
Yeah, but the player's number, and you knew what the numbers were. The card game they drew 2 numbers, and you got to play, and you could tell them who wore a certain number.
Oh. Yeah, I can't. That card game might have also included other things, so I don't know if I remember as much about that.
Like beer?
Yeah, man, maybe. I was old enough, barely, but I mean, I'm always doing games like that where we're coming up with Cowboy players and numbers and things like that. I thought you were talking about a different card game where it was with coming back from Tokyo with Emmitt Smith and Chris Warren and maybe Michael Wiley. And I don't know why I got included in that, but playing cards there and drinking sake coming back on the plane like that. So that's the other card game that I remember. But, I mean, I'm always trying to come up with former players. I mean, we did that. The whole time, every chance we got, you were always teaching me that kind of stuff. So.
Well, the story I had is that nobody else knew who the player on a certain number was, and when it got around to you, you knew 3.
Oh yeah,
and you won the pot.
Yeah. I'm always gonna do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's all I had.
All right.
I don't want to monopolize your show, but I've enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This was your creation, so yeah, I appreciate it. Good talking to you, Dad. I'll call you later, for sure. So, all right. That's my
great.
dad.
Okay.
Dr. Sunshine, he goes by. I actually put his book out here. He wrote the book called Nursing Homes about, he goes and he sings to nursing homes and with the character Dr. Sunshine and, just trying to provide some light to people that, don't always get to, experience that. So, and you know what? This week he needs some of that as well. We all do. We all need that. So it's good to hear from him. Sorry, if anybody if it didn't talk about X's and O's, but then again it's late February. We're good. All right, Ali in Iceland.
Hi Nick.
How you doing?
Pretty good, buddy. How about you?
I'm good. You're on the move.
Yeah, I've been on the move since Super Bowl. I have a group of 12 people showing photography, chasing the Northern Lights, but you won't believe they were all San Francisco 49ers fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the game in Iceland, Reykjavik, started at 11:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And then they stay up to 4 o'clock to watch the game. I picked them up to bring them Southern Iceland. They were so bummed out, but I was so happy. I couldn't see the game. But I couldn't be happier that 49ers lost. Anyways, I got a couple of things. I really, really, really want a Christmas wish to have this center Jackson Power Johnson. I thought if Cowboys get lucky somehow, get this guy cement the center.
Yeah.
And then that's one guy I pray to God they get him. And then on the second round, I figured they get one of the running back. But as far as the free agent is concerned, I like to pick up the sure bet, one of these linebackers and defensive tackle. One in the middle, one in backup. And, I don't know, you'll be able to get a chance to watch the New York Giants when the Lawrence Taylor was playing. I remember this guy always put the fear of God in me. But I think beneath the pass rusher, so let Parsons to be a pass rusher, just get few linebackers, you know?
Yeah.
So, because he reminds me a lot of Lawrence Taylor. The kid is so fast. Then, as far as our draft pick is concerned, I got a question for you. I know because first and second and third, I'm willing to trade the first round for lower pick to get a few picks. But on the Dan Quinn, do we get any free compensation?
No, because he was a defensive coordinator, got promoted to a head coach. You don't
Right.
No,
I was told we get a third round draft pick for him.
No, you don't get you're not gonna get one for anybody. Any of the coaches that are up there. It sounds good, but sorry, that's not the rule. I mean, the rule is that the NFL, you have to grant them. Doesn't matter if they're under contract or not. You have to grant them permission to interview with them for a head coaching job. Now, there are some compensations for different positions. I think for minority positions, especially on the executive level, like a vice president. And maybe for a head coach, but not, and nothing that has happened with like adding dirty, moving up, or anything like that. Joe Witt Jr., they do not get compensation for that.
Awesome.
So
my memorabilia, I have 4 boxes of Cowboys Weekly. I got 3 boxes of VHS. Every single Cowboys game on VHS tape. I used to connect with a couple people in New York and California. Since I live in Florida, they always show the Florida team. So we used to exchange tape. But as far as the memorabilia, the first time I met Coach Landry in 1984, they were playing Miami Dolphins on the last Monday night. Cowboys used to have this cool poster that put the 84 team and put back of it whole bunch of previous year. I have every Cowboys just about sign it. It was so impressive to see them for first time. You like a starstruck,
Yeah.
But love the show, Nick. Miss you, buddy.
Thank you.
Chris got a question for you, so I can get your picture in order. Love you. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.
All right. Appreciate that. I never know on my spreadsheet where to put Ali because he's moving around. Is this a call from Iceland? Because he was from Iceland. Does this count as a different state? I mean, a different country. I think it does. Because I'm sure there's different challenges to call from different places.
It's like the second country he's called
right.
from.
He's all over the place.
Africa and Iceland.
Right. Because I think on the sheet it's like
Florida.
Ali from Florida.
Right.
Doesn't count. We got a lot of those. You don't have Iceland. I mean, nothing against Florida because they got cool people like Ronnie there. You know what I mean? Like Ronnie from Florida. So what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I was pleased to hear that you had your own show because your personality flies out, and you're a great man, and I appreciate you representing the Cowboys.
Well, I'm a ball hog. You know what I mean? I like to shoot. Yeah. I like to shoot the ball. I didn't like to pass a whole lot. Now I passed
right.
Okay, Chris. We don't need to be dinging around like that.
Yeah. First time.
Yeah.
First time.
There we go. Hit it.
Cincinnati. All right.
What was that?
Favorite wrestler.
Oh, wrestler. It's going to be an old school one. If you're going to put an A in there and call it a wrestler, let's go. What do you got?
Yeah. Iron Sheik. Okay. Love that camel clutch.
Right.
Love that camel clutch.
Yeah. You guys love the heels. Chris said the same thing.
That's right. The shoes was out of sight.
He was the champion until like 1984, 85 when Hulk Hogan beat him with those cheeks of death. Boom, that leg drop right on the face.
That's right. and Brutus.
Beefcake.
Brutus the Beefcake, yeah.
Brutus the
Beefcake strut, yeah.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. The only thing I got about the Cowboys is we need a thumper.
Runner? Running back?
Yeah. No, a linebacker.
Oh, okay.
We need a thumper.
Okay.
And
I'll take a thumper
Dwayne
running back.
McClain. Dwayne McClain. Could you tell us a story about him?
Dwayne McClain?
Yes.
Rolando McClain?
Yeah, Rolando McClain.
Because
yes.
Dwayne
yes.
McClain, I think, played like guard for Villanova like in the 80s. I think
That's right.
I would think I was
totally different sport.
different guy. But Rolando McClain, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they signed him the day that USA was playing Belgium in the World Cup, and we were all there watching it and at the stadium and getting excited, having a watch party. And David Hellman and I are down in the suite area working on off our phones because they signed Rolando McClain. I'll say this about Rolando McClain. From where we, and I might have said this before, but from where we stood, where we sat in the press box, and it's usually really high up, and it's kind of hard to see the numbers and all that. You never doubted who made that hit when it was Rolando McClain, because if he hit the guy at the 25-yard line, he was down at the 25. There was no dragging 2 more yards to the 23 or whatever. Right. He was down at the 25. He could hit. Yeah. He had a unusually
looked like a professor when you interviewed him.
Yeah.
He had the professor glasses on.
Yeah, and he didn't look like a linebacker. I mean, his body,
not at all.
His body type, he was kind of slim, kind of slim, and lanky. Man, he could hit.
Right,
he could hit. He just,
boy, we need that thumper in the middle on our defense. No doubt about that.
And that's unfortunate with him. He got caught up in other things. I don't know if football was always number one. So.
Yeah.
But
hey, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Good call. Well, I would say the lines are open because they are, but it's also time to end the show. It's been an hour. That was a quick hour. I don't know if Chris felt the same way, but man, that was quick. Got our 10 calls and a lot of first-time calls. Got to talk to my dad. That was pretty awesome. He has never called. What a great day for him to call. I'm really glad that he did. And always glad for all the call. I mean, we were from Iceland. I mean, we're all over the place today. This is really good stuff. England, don't forget that.
I wanted you to ask who his favorite English football team was.
Yeah. I should have done that. Who was?
I looked up Birmingham, and I think
who his soccer team is.
Aston Villa's in Birmingham.
Aston Villa. So. I kind of was what he did. Like, he kind of just picked a team, I guess, picked the Cowboys, and I did the same thing like 6 years ago or 7, 8 years ago. I wanted to get involved with soccer and kind of get an EPL team and all that, and so I picked Swansea City. That was my team. They were up and coming. I didn't want to pick one of the top ones. I'll go with Swansea, and they were.
They get relegated.
They get relegated like in their third year. I still, to this day, though, on the ESPN app, like I think they're in the championship series, and they got really close to getting up there a couple of years ago. They're not. Every Saturday morning, I kind of wake up and look at my phone. It's like 9 a.m. and they lost, or whatever. But I don't know. I need a team. I need to pick a team, and I don't know. Maybe I'll just go with one of the top ones.
Growing up, mine was Man U, but it has switched since.
I've always think I'm going to get into stocks and buy a little bit of stock because they're up on the market, Man U and Man City. So I thought maybe I could buy a little bit of stocks and then they would be my team. You know what I mean? I could say we. I'm a part owner. So
like the Packers, huh?
Thought about that a little bit, but I don't know. All right, we're all over the place, Chris. We could do this. We could talk outside when we're done here. So
yeah, we can if you want to.
All right. Well, if no one else is calling, let's wrap it up. Good show. Appreciate you guys for calling. And next week, plan on doing 2 shows next week. That's always the plan. So all right. So for Chris, I'm Nick Eatman. We will see you next week on Cowboy Storyline. See ya.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?